Here's something most folks don't realize. Up to 80% of strokes and other life-changing health scares could actually be prevented just by tweaking how you start your morning. Ever wonder why top neurologists, the very people who study strokes every day, almost never experience them themselves? Turns out they follow 6 simple morning habits that take less than 2 minutes, but can seriously lower your risk. In today's video, I'm going to share those exact habits, the same ones brain doctors swear by, and show you how they could be the key to staying independent, active, and sharp well into your 70s and beyond. Let's meet Eleanor Collins. Had always been the strong one. A retired nurse from Grand Rapids, Michigan, she spent over 3 decades caring for others in the chaotic, unpredictable halls of a hospital. She had held trembling hands, soothed dying patients, coached new mothers through labor, and calmly navigated emergencies that would leave most people frozen in place. She'd seen strokes before, far too many of them. She knew the signs: slurred speech, drooping facial muscles, sudden confusion. She knew the time window. She knew how fast everything could unravel. But the cruel irony of life is that sometimes even the most prepared are blindsided. It was a quiet Sunday morning in early autumn, the kind of crisp, golden morning that made Eleanor feel grateful just to be alive. The trees outside her window had just started to turn, a mosaic of amber, rust, and honey. She had just turned 71 the week before and was still basking in the warm glow of the celebration. Her grandchildren had visited, bringing balloons and hugs and hand-drawn cards. Her husband, George, had made her favorite blueberry pancakes. That morning, she stood at the bathroom sink, brushing her teeth, humming softly to herself. George was in the kitchen preparing coffee. She was thinking about what book to start next. She had just finished a mystery novel and was eyeing a memoir her neighbor had recommended. And then, in an instant, everything changed. George heard the crash first, a metallic clatter, followed by the unmistakable thud of a body hitting tile. He rushed into the bathroom and found Eleanor on the floor, her eyes wide with terror, her mouth struggling to form words. The right side of her face had gone slack. One arm was twisted beneath her, limp. George shouted her name over and over, but she couldn't answer. The ambulance arrived in under 7 minutes. At the ER, a neurologist confirmed what George already feared. Eleanor had suffered a massive ischemic stroke. They acted quickly, administered clot-busting medication, ran scans, stabilized her vitals. But the damage had already begun. She survived, but the woman who returned home 2 weeks later wasn't the same Eleanor. She had lost most of her ability to speak. Her right arm remained paralyzed, and her independence, her pride, was gone in an instant. She cried when George had to help her bathe. When her 6-year-old grandson asked why Grandma couldn't talk to him anymore, she cried harder. The hardest part wasn't the pain or the therapy or the frustration of learning how to eat again with her left hand. The hardest part was knowing what could have been different. After reviewing Eleanor's case, her neurologist, Dr. Helen Browning, sat with George and said quietly, "This could have been prevented." She wasn't being cruel. She was being honest. Dr. Browning explained that most strokes happen in the morning, between 6 a.m. and 11 a.m., when the body is at its most vulnerable. Blood vessels are tighter, blood is thicker from overnight dehydration, and blood pressure spikes with the rush of morning hormones. But here's what most people don't know. Stroke prevention isn't just about managing long-term risk factors. It's also about what you do every single morning. The first hour after you wake up can either protect your brain or put it in danger. Dr. Browning herself follows a 6-step morning ritual, each habit backed by clinical research, each designed to reduce stroke risk. These aren't expensive or complicated. In fact, they take less than 2 minutes each. She leaned forward, her voice soft but firm. If Eleanor had known these 6 habits, if she'd done just 1 or 2 of them, she might still be talking to you like she used to. George sat in stunned silence. Eleanor's story isn't rare. According to the American Stroke Association, over 800,000 people suffer a stroke each year in the United States. The majority are over 65, and nearly 80% of strokes are preventable. So why don't more people know this? Because stroke prevention is often treated as something distant, something that involves medication, doctor visits, or big lifestyle overhauls. But the truth is simpler and more hopeful. What you do in the first 15 minutes of your day matters more than you think. This video exists for one reason: to make sure you never have to go through what Eleanor did, or what George still lives with every day. You're about to learn the exact morning routine that top neurologists personally follow to protect their brains. These 6 habits are simple, research-backed, and incredibly powerful. They won't just lower your stroke risk, they'll improve your focus, stabilize your blood pressure, and help you live with more energy, clarity, and confidence. So please, stay until the end, because what you do tomorrow morning might save your life, or the life of someone you love. Let's find out about the first one, the first glass of life, morning hydration. Interview Thomas Jenkins. He never liked doctors. At 73 years old, he had only visited one twice in the past decade, once for a sprained ankle, and once because his daughter insisted he get a checkup after retirement. He was proud of his independence, proud of his routines, proud that he could still work the soil on his Nebraska farm like he did in his 30s. But pride can be dangerous when it becomes denial. One morning, Thomas stood on his porch, sipping his usual strong black coffee. The sun had just begun to climb over the fields. He had chores to do: feed the chickens, fix a broken fence. But as he walked down the steps, a wave of dizziness hit him. His knees buckled. He grabbed the railing, heart pounding. He didn't fall. Not that time. But 2 weeks later, it happened again, this time while lifting a hay bale. And this time, he didn't stay on his feet. At the hospital, the doctors ran tests. Scans showed he'd had a minor stroke, a transient ischemic attack, or TIA. No permanent damage, but a flashing red warning light. His neurologist told him, "You got lucky. Next time, it could be worse." Thomas was confused. His cholesterol was fine. His blood pressure mostly stable. So what went wrong? The answer surprised him. "Every morning your blood is thicker," explained Dr. Patricia Landon, chief neurologist at Brigham Medical Center. "Especially if the first thing you put in your body is coffee. Your vessels are already constricted from sleep. Add dehydration, and your blood becomes sluggish. Perfect conditions for a clot." Thomas had spent decades starting his day with coffee. Black, strong, and immediate. Water? That was for after chores. Dr. Landon told him bluntly, "That habit is a stroke waiting to happen." She recommended a simple fix. Drink 16 ounces of room temperature water with lemon before anything else. The change felt strange at first. Thomas missed the smell of coffee first thing, but within 2 weeks the dizziness vanished. His blood pressure dropped by 12 points. His follow-up scans showed improved cerebral blood flow. Even his sleep improved. He became a convert. Now every morning, Thomas leaves a glass of water on his nightstand. It's the first thing he reaches for, before coffee, before chores. Dr. Landon says he's not alone. Most of my patients over 65 are chronically dehydrated in the morning. They don't realize it, but it puts them at serious risk. A simple glass of water can reduce stroke risk by up to 60%. The lemon isn't just for taste. It helps stimulate digestion, reduce inflammation, and, more importantly, makes the water more alkaline, which aids in dissolving minor clots. So here's your action step. Tonight, before bed, pour a glass of room temperature water and cover it. Place it on your nightstand. Add a slice of lemon if you can. Tomorrow morning, drink it before your feet touch the floor. It's a 30-second habit that could change everything. We'll cover more habits shortly, but let this one sink in first. Because it's not just about hydration, it's about reclaiming control. You have power right now to lower your risk of stroke. You don't need a prescription. You don't need a hospital visit. You just need a glass of water and the will to start. Will you do it? Because the next story we share might be yours or someone you love. The next is the 60-second blood flow reset. Meet Beverly Rice. She never expected something as ordinary as sleeping to put her life at risk. At 67, she was still active, sharp-minded, and socially vibrant. A retired elementary school teacher in Daytona Beach, Florida, Beverly had traded chalkboards and lesson plans for gardening, knitting, and volunteering at her local church. But every morning, for the past 6 months, she had been waking up with an eerie sensation. Dizziness, slight disorientation, and a strange pressure behind her eyes. It would pass by mid-morning, and so, like many do, she ignored it. Then came the day her balance gave out. She was carrying a tray of tea out to her backyard porch when the world tilted. She reached out to steady herself on the screen door, but it was too late. She fell, narrowly missing the stone steps. Her neighbor rushed over, helped her up, and insisted on calling her son. Beverly's doctor ordered a brain scan, which revealed a shocking truth. She had experienced what's known as a silent stroke. It hadn't caused outward damage, but the scans showed reduced blood flow in her carotid arteries. Her neurologist, Dr. Michael Ferguson from Johns Hopkins, explained, "During sleep, your blood flow slows. If your sleeping position restricts your neck or head movement, it can limit blood delivery to the brain. Add age-related vessel stiffness, and you've got a recipe for trouble." Beverly was stunned. How could sleeping, and then simply getting out of bed, put her brain in danger? That's when Dr. Ferguson gave her a surprising prescription. Not pills, not surgery, but a 60-second stretch routine performed every morning, before even standing up. At first, she was skeptical, but Dr. Ferguson explained how the carotid arteries, which supply the brain with oxygen-rich blood, can become partially restricted overnight. "Simple, slow movement resets circulation," he said. "You're waking up your brain, gently, deliberately." He handed her a slip of paper with instructions. Beverly's morning brain flow. Reset. While lying on your back, slowly rotate your head to the right. Hold for 5 seconds. Return to center. Rotate left. Hold for 5 seconds. Gently tuck your chin toward your chest. Hold for 5 seconds. Look up slightly. Hold. Perform 5 slow shoulder rolls backward. The first few days, Beverly felt a little silly, but within a week, she noticed something. The dizziness disappeared. She felt sharper. Her morning walks became steadier. By month 2, her follow-up scan showed measurable improvement in blood flow. Dr. Ferguson smiled when she returned. "You likely prevented a second, more serious stroke," he told her. This 1-minute practice became her ritual. She now keeps the instructions taped beside her nightstand. Here's what Beverly wants you to know. It's 1 minute, 60 seconds. That's all it took to change my mornings and maybe save my brain. So before you stand up tomorrow, try this. Rotate your head right, center, then left, 5 seconds each. Tuck your chin. Look up gently, 5 backward shoulder rolls. You don't need yoga mats, gym clothes, or trainers. Just a quiet moment to reset your circulation and give your brain the oxygen it needs to function and protect itself. Every day, thousands wake up unaware that their first movements are the most dangerous. Don't be one of them. Give your brain the wake-up it deserves. Now, it's the anti-stroke breakfast formula. Let's meet Douglas Grant to get to the next point. He had always been a meat and potatoes kind of guy. Growing up in rural Arizona, breakfast meant bacon, eggs, toast, and black coffee, strong enough to jolt your soul. That tradition carried into retirement. At 70, Douglas wasn't doing too badly. He kept his lawn trim, played cards with his buddies at the Veterans Center, and made Sunday waffles for his grandkids. But for the past year, he'd been struggling with blood pressure issues, fatigue, and something he didn't tell anyone about. Numbness in his fingers, particularly after breakfast. His doctor increased his medication, but the problems persisted. Then one spring morning, Douglas fainted while getting out of his recliner. Luckily, his wife Linda was home and called for help. At the hospital, they discovered elevated inflammation markers and signs of plaque buildup in his brain's small vessels, an early warning of a stroke waiting to happen. His neurologist, Dr. Sarah Winston from the National Stroke Prevention Association, reviewed his diet and delivered a dose of reality. Douglas, your breakfast is triggering a daily inflammation response. It's like lighting a small fire in your arteries every morning. He was shocked. I thought breakfast was supposed to give me energy, Dr. Winston explained. It does, but only if you're eating the right foods. Foods that calm inflammation, not fuel it. She introduced him to a new concept, the Neurologist's anti-stroke breakfast formula. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't expensive, but it was powerful. Douglas's new morning meal, 1/4 cup blueberries, high in antioxidants, reduce arterial stiffness, 1/2 cup plain Greek yogurt, probiotics that reduce inflammation, 1 tablespoon ground flaxseed, omega-3s for brain and heart, a small handful of walnuts, shown to reduce morning clotting factors, steel-cut oats with cinnamon, stabilizes blood sugar and supports vascular health. No sugar, no processed carbs, no bacon, just brain-loving fuel. Within 6 weeks, Douglas felt different. His fingers no longer tingled. His blood pressure normalized. His inflammatory markers dropped by 31%, enough that his doctor reduced one of his medications. He still missed his bacon, but he didn't miss the fear. Now every morning, Douglas prepares his brain bowl, as he calls it. Sometimes his granddaughter helps. She even asks, "Grandpa, are we feeding your brain today?" He laughs and answers, "Yes, sweetheart, we sure are." Here's what Dr. Winston wants you to know. The first meal of your day programs your inflammation response for the next 12 hours. You have the power to protect your brain every single morning. So tomorrow morning, try this. Swap sugary cereal or greasy sausage for something simple. Blueberries, plain Greek yogurt, flaxseed, walnuts, or warm oatmeal with cinnamon. Avoid breakfast pastries, processed meats, sweetened yogurts, and white bread. These foods cause a spike in blood sugar and inflammation, damaging delicate blood vessels in your brain. Your brain doesn't need perfection, it needs protection. So what will your next breakfast say about your future? Choose nourishment over nostalgia. Choose clarity over convenience. Choose the breakfast that could help prevent a stroke and extend your life. Because every bite either feeds your brain or fights it. And the next, meet Nancy Whitaker. She never thought much about her blood pressure. At 73, she was a retired librarian, living a quiet life in the suburbs of Madison, Wisconsin. She kept all her checkup records in neat folders. Her doctor visits were like clockwork, every 6 months without fail. Her readings, always normal. But one morning in January, as she walked toward the kitchen for her usual cup of Earl Grey, something strange happened. Her hand trembled. Her vision blurred for a moment. Before she could call out to her husband, she collapsed onto the kitchen floor. The stroke she suffered was hemorrhagic, caused by a sudden, severe spike in blood pressure that ruptured a vessel in her brain. She was rushed to the ER unconscious. She survived, but her recovery was long and painful. When she awoke in the hospital, the first thing she asked, her voice raspy, was, "How?" Her neurologist doctor, James Matthews from the Mayo Clinic, reviewed her medical history and gently explained, "Your afternoon blood pressure checks never showed the full picture. What we didn't catch was your morning surge, a spike that can happen before breakfast, before meds, and before caffeine." Nancy had never checked her blood pressure first thing in the morning. Like many, she assumed her regular doctor visits were enough. Dr. Matthews told her, "Morning BP is the most accurate predictor of stroke risk. It's when your body is shifting gears, from sleep to wakefulness, and everything from cortisol to vessel pressure can skyrocket." Now every morning, Nancy sits on the edge of her bed with an automatic monitor. She breathes deeply. She waits 3 minutes. Then she checks, twice, before eating or taking any medication. Her readings are written in a journal by her bedside. They've become part of her new morning ritual, a way to reclaim control, one heartbeat at a time. Nancy's advice? Don't wait until it's too late to start tracking the numbers that matter. If you're over 65, here's what you need to do. Purchase an automatic blood pressure cuff. Many models cost less than $30. Sit upright for 3 minutes before checking. Take 2 readings, 5 minutes apart. Record your results. Morning goal: stay under 135/85. Anything higher should be discussed with your physician. And the next interview Franklin Morris, he never thought of himself as the kind of man who'd practice breathing exercises. At 66, he was a former firefighter, a grandfather, and a proud member of his local Veterans Association in Richmond, Virginia. He'd spent his life rushing into danger, not meditating on a yoga mat. But the years had caught up with him. He was on 3 blood pressure medications, still hypertensive. He'd wake up feeling foggy, tense, and exhausted before the day had even begun. Then came a warning. A minor stroke left him with temporary numbness on one side of his face. His neurologist, Dr. Rebecca Chen, didn't reach for another prescription pad. Instead, she asked him to sit still. "Put one hand on your belly," she said. "Now breathe with me." He rolled his eyes but followed her lead. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, exhale for 8 seconds. They repeated the cycle 4 times. At the end of those 2 minutes, Franklin opened his eyes and blinked. "I feel calm," he said, surprised. Dr. Chen smiled. "That's your parasympathetic nervous system doing its job. That breathwork stimulates the vagus nerve and lowers inflammation throughout your body, including your arteries." Franklin committed to doing it every morning. He'd sit on the edge of his bed, feet flat on the ground, hand on his belly, and breathe. 3 weeks later, his blood pressure had dropped 22 points. His doctor reduced one of his medications. More importantly, Franklin said, "I feel human again. I feel clear." Want to try Franklin's method? Sit comfortably. Place one hand on your stomach. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds, expanding your belly. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Exhale slowly through pursed lips for 8 seconds. Repeat 4 times. It's free, it's safe, and it just might save your life. And finally, I will tell you clearly about the Neurologist supplement stack. Patricia Dwyer, 68, had a family history of stroke. Her older sister, Lorraine, had suffered one at 70 and never fully recovered. Patricia was determined not to follow the same path. During a checkup with her neurologist, she asked him directly, "What do you take every morning?" He hesitated, then smiled. "You want the real answer?" Patricia nodded. He handed her a sticky note with 4 items written on it. 1,000 milligrams omega-3 fish oil, at least 600 milligrams combined EPA-DHA, 100 milligrams CoQ10, 500 milligrams curcumin with black pepper extract for absorption, 150 milligrams magnesium threonate, the only form that crosses the blood-brain barrier. "These are what I take," he said. "Most neurologists do. They reduce plaque, improve blood flow, and calm inflammation. But we rarely recommend them because they're not pharmaceuticals." Patricia started the protocol the next day with her doctor's supervision. 3 months later, her inflammation levels had dropped significantly. A carotid ultrasound showed reduced plaque. Her energy was higher, her focus sharper. She called it her shield. Note, always consult your doctor before starting new supplements. But know this, many stroke survivors say they wish they'd started these sooner. Conclusion, will you wait until it's too late? Let's go back one last time to the names we've met: Eleanor, Thomas, Beverly, Douglas, Nancy, Franklin, Patricia. Each of them faced a critical moment. Some were caught off guard. Others made changes in time. Each story carries the same truth. A single morning habit can mean the difference between independence and tragedy. These 6 rituals aren't miracles. They're not expensive. They don't require gym memberships, prescriptions, or drastic changes. They take less than 2 minutes each, but together they build a powerful shield around your brain, and your future. 1. Hydrate first with room temperature water and lemon. 2. Move your neck and shoulders, 60 seconds of morning stretches. 3. Eat anti-inflammatory foods. Your breakfast is brain fuel. 4. Check your blood pressure. Know your numbers before anything else. 5. Breathe for your brain. Just 30 seconds of focused, healing breath. And 6. Supplement smart. Consider what neurologists take themselves. Tomorrow morning, you'll make a choice. The same routine or a smarter one. We don't always get warnings. Strokes don't schedule appointments. But you have something powerful right now. Knowledge. What you do next could save your life or the life of someone you love. If you already use one of these habits, comment below and share your experience. If not, tell us, which will you start tomorrow? Share this video with someone over 65. It might just be the message that protects their tomorrow. Because in the end, prevention isn't about fear, it's about freedom. Let's protect it together. We're rooting for you with all our heart, dear Seniors Life.